Destined for Doom. 1. You can show yourself now, Loki said with a smirk as he walked into a tunnel that led out of the bustling Shenlong arena. I know you're there. I can see right through that adorable little cloaking spell. I expected no less from the new Crane champion, Dr. Doom replied, revealing his metal-clad form with a wave of his hand. But tell me, Loki, how did you do it? How did you persuade the Crane Mother to choose you as the new immortal weapon of Kunzi? I'd have been known to be quite convincing, Loki said, his eyes glowing green with ancient magic. You know full well that the right words in the right order can be quite magical, and I always seem to have plenty of words to spare. I would not have thought that your Asgardian enchantments would work on an immortal beast of the 7 capital cities of heaven, Doom mused. If I can bewitch Odin, I can bewitch anyone, Loki said with a laugh. Duly noted, Doom said, wondering if Loki's words were a veiled threat. Oh, and you must not have been watching my big debut, Loki continued, or you would know that there apparently are 8 capital cities now. Or at least there will be if the mortal in the devil horns gets what he wants. Speaking of which— Ah yes, Doom replied, gazing at Loki's outstretched hand. We made a bargain, and now I suppose you want to be paid. In full, Loki quickly added. As Doom reached into his cloak, Loki thought back to how he had gotten here. After the confrontation with Null on Clintar, Loki was determined to track down Hela, the goddess of death. She had broken her pact with Loki when she decided to fashion herself as Null's queen in black. After her ploy failed miserably, she retreated to safety, taking sanctuary in the secret 8th city, which had merged with the other 7 capital cities of heaven to become the heart of heaven. Loki was determined to have words with Hela about her betrayal. Strong words. Upon arriving in Kunlun, however, Loki soon found himself dragged into more of the mortal's ceaseless conflicts. As he had previously learned in his own realm, Ixgard, magical domains were not immune to the effects of the time stream entanglement. As such, Kunlun and its sister cities had been thrown into utter turmoil. But fortunately for Loki, he did his best work in the midst of chaos. Sholau, the immortal dragon who protected Kunlun, had been frozen in time, and multiple different factions were making plays for power in his absence. Some wished to wake him and restore order to the fabled realm, while others sought to obtain the chronal energy-infused chi of Sholau to grant themselves ultimate power. Doom, of course, was amongst the latter. But when Sholau was awoken from his slumber once more, Doom realized that he could not obtain the dragon's chi as easily as he had first hoped. So instead, he publicly challenged the legitimacy of Sholau's chosen champion, Iron Fist. Doom expected that a solo trial would follow, allowing him to prove his worth. But instead, Sholau unexpectedly matched Doom's wits and found a loophole to keep his foe at bay. According to the Book of the Iron Fist, if the title of an immortal weapon is challenged while the capital cities of heaven are converged, each city has the right to claim that power by winning a grand tournament to be held in the Shenlong arena. The game was on, and Doom was less than pleased that he would have to sully his hands to get what he wanted. But he already had a new plan forming in his twisted mind. Naturally, word of the impending tournament spread quickly through Kunlun. Since almost all of the immortal weapons had vanished when the time stream entanglement struck, the legendary guardians of each capital city now had to choose replacements from the pool of powerful heroes who had assembled in their sacred realm. And Loki found himself a front-row seat, watching the spectacle with great interest. The immortal beasts chose their new champions swiftly. Zagambo selected Storm to fill in for the Prince of Orphans, while Peng Lai tapped Groot. At first, Loki thought he might be chosen by the Huodu of the Undercity, but the mutant called Wolverine beat him to it. By then, almost all of the other capital cities had locked in their new immortal weapons, and when Zhu Ke, the great vermilion bird of Kunzi, appointed the Invisible Woman to be her avatar, it seemed as though it was too late. What left him feeling slightly disappointed was that Loki had missed his chance to join the tournament and cause chaos with his tricks. Just as Loki was about to resign himself to watching the tournament from the grandstands, he was approached by Victor Von Doom and offered a deal. Loki was well aware that Dr. Doom had been the one behind the time stream entanglement and many of the catastrophes that had unfolded since. So he heeded the maniacal monarch's words with great caution, but to say he wasn't intrigued would have been a lie. The arrangement is simple, Doom had said. If you can find a way to secure your place as an immortal weapon and gain the right to participate in the tournament, Doom will help you defeat all of your rivals on the battlefield. All that Doom asks in return is that you hand over the grand prize, the Chi of Shou-Lao, once you have claimed victory. And how does this scheme benefit me? Loki had asked as he scoffed at Doom's proposal. There is much Doom can offer you in return, Doom had said. Name your price. All I want is a single feather, Loki had replied, a grin curling across his lips. From the Phoenix. Loki was well aware that Doom's robotic servants had acquired a phoenix feather during the conflict on Klingtar. Loki had already used the sap from the world tree, Yggdrasil, to create the thread of fate, weaving it into a blank canvas. With a phoenix feather as his quill, Loki would only need the right ink to rewrite his destiny and craft a new legend for himself. If he had his way, he would no longer be the god of lies, but rather the god of stories. Doom agreed to Loki's terms, and to prove his devotion to the plan, Doom promised that he would find a way to remove the Invisible Woman from the contest. Thanks to his deep history with the Richards family, Doom claimed he knew exactly what strings he needed to pull behind the scenes to manipulate them into unwittingly following his whims. In fact, it was a pastime he took great joy in. Once Susan Richards was no longer a concern, all that would remain was for Loki to convince the Crane Mother that he was the best possible replacement for Crane Champion. Loki traveled through the heart of heaven to Kunzi, where he hoped to be met with a fond welcome befitting Asgardian royalty. Instead, he was forced to fight his way through a seemingly endless army of Crane daughters. Even though Loki could summon his own army of devious doppelgangers to face these warrior women, his clones were merely illusions and could not withstand the martial arts mastery of these mystical maidens. When the daughters came together and merged into a giant burning crane, however, Loki took another approach. He shapeshifted into his true frost giant form and batted the winged creature out of the skies. Once the crane was grounded, Loki did not hesitate to open the casket of ancient winters and extinguish the creature's flames, before moving on to meet Zhu Ke. The vermilion bird was impressed by what it had witnessed, but not impressed enough to offer Loki the vacant title of Crane Champion, immortal weapon of Kunzi. It was then that Loki made the ultimate gamble, attempting to bewitch Zhu Ke with a spell that he had learned long ago from his erstwhile ally, Amora the Enchantress. He had seen her use this charm to sway the minds of frost giants and dark elves, but an immortal beast was another story. Alas, Zhu Ke was unaffected by Amora's incantations, but Loki still had his own words to sway the Vermilion Bird's opinion. Loki claimed that, if he were chosen to be the new immortal weapon of Kunzi, he would give her a phoenix feather to show his thanks. He reached in his coat and pulled out a feather plucked from Munin the raven, igniting it with a touch of Muspelheim's eternal flame. Though it was merely a parlor trick, the Vermilion Bird believed Loki's lies. Before long, the Crane Mother had changed course, and had granted Loki her blessing. Loki returned to Doom with the good news. Though on the surface he would be fighting for Zhuque and Kunzi, it was Doom who would truly be his patron in the battle to come. Even without that clandestine knowledge, the entire Shenlong arena still erupted with gasps when the God of Mischief was introduced as one of the contestants in the upcoming trial. And now, here Loki was, ready to accept the prize that Doom had offered him. A prize he coveted far more than a shard of some ancient dragon's soul. One he would never give to the Vermilion Bird, despite his promise otherwise. The phoenix feather contained life and rebirth incarnate, and it was almost in his grasp. "You will get your payment, Laufeyson," Doom said, pulling an empty hand from his cloak. "Only after the tournament is won." "You dare defy me, mortal?" Loki growled, lowering his staff so that its bladed tip pressed against Doom's armored chest. "Doom dares," Doom responded. "But what I, and every other mortal, should never dare to do is to trust Loki. When the battle is over, trickster, the phoenix feather shall be yours as promised. Not a moment sooner." Enraged by Doom's deceit, Loki considered casting a spell to turn Doom into a frog, or perhaps something far worse. But after a moment, he decided against the notion. After all, Doom wasn't wrong. The likelihood that Loki would have lived up to his end of the deal and completed the tournament once the phoenix feather was in his hand was next to nil. And besides, after what seemed like ages of fighting alongside brutes like his brother Thor, Loki felt relieved to finally find himself paired with someone who actually played games at his own level. "Then I suppose I should start to prepare for battle," Loki said, exiting the shadowy corridor beneath the Shenlong arena and leaving Doom behind. "It will take more than just tricks to defeat the most powerful champions in the multiverse. Though I'm certain some will come in handy, and I still have quite a few of them up my sleeves." Once again, Doom said, a slight grin showing from behind his metal mask, "I expected no less."